I've never been the adventurous type, not really. But when you're 16 and boredom stretches so far, you can feel it pressing against your skull. Even the quietest, most lifeless corners of the world seem like they're hiding something worth discovering. That's why my friends and I started exploring abandoned places, factories, barns, crumbling cabins along the coast. The thrill wasn't danger. It was the illusion of control. The ability to step somewhere forbidden and claim it as ours for a few hours. That's how I ended up stranded on this island. Not stranded in a dramatic, shipwrecked way with a storm to blame. No, it was just a foolish plan gone wrong. We'd rented a small motorboat, convinced ourselves we could cross a stretch of the bay to a supposedly uninhabited island. Halfway there, the engine sputtered, died, and I didn't have the knowledge or the courage to fix it. By nightfall, the island's shore loomed dark and unwelcoming, a jagged silhouette against the horizon. We made landfall, grateful to set foot somewhere solid, even if it was small, wild, and completely uninviting. The first night was uneventful. I pitched a tarp between a couple of scrubby trees, built a fire from driftwood, and listened to the waves crashing against the rocks. The wind carried a hint of salt and rot. Somewhere in the distance, a gull cried. That was it. That was the island. It felt ordinary. Ordinary enough that I almost believed I could fix the boat in the morning and leave. Morning came, and with it, the first hint that something was wrong. The boat. I'd tied it securely to a boulder on the shore, double-checked every knot, but now it lay halfway up the beach, a good 20 feet from where I'd left it. The tide hadn't risen high enough to carry it there. I checked the knots. Perfectly intact. Nothing could have moved it except the island. I laughed it off. Of course I did. Boredom, fatigue, the thrill of isolation. It must have been a dream, a trick of memory. I untied the boat and tried again, rowing out to the horizon with all my strength. The water was calm, deceptively calm, reflecting the sky as if inviting me to leave. Hours later, I returned. The island had somehow shifted the boat back to shore. Not dramatically, not violently, but subtly, perfectly, deliberately. That's when the unease started. Not the outright terror, the kind that freezes your chest, but the creeping, insidious feeling that someone or something was paying attention. The tide receded in strange patterns. Rocks I'd stepped over yesterday now obstructed the paths I'd taken. Trees leaned slightly toward the path I avoided. Even my footprints vanished overnight. I began keeping track. Every escape attempt, no matter how careful or clever, ended with failure. Fires I built to signal passing ships went out the instant I turned my back. Attempts to climb cliffs to get a better view were met with shifting terrain. Boulders I had relied on gave way. Sand under my boots loosened impossibly. Vines twisted around my ankles. I started talking to myself to stay sane. It's just an island, I whispered. It's just trees and rocks. It can't care about me. But my words felt hollow. The way the branches rustled in the wind, or didn't, seemed deliberate. The horizon, once clear, now mocked me with its unattainable expanse. Each day, it felt further away, like the island itself was stretching the world to keep me contained, keep me far, far away from what used to be home. This is home now, though. I'm forced to be a resident here. I explored inland, searching for caves, fallen trees, or even signs of previous visitors. There were remnants, old driftwood shelters, cracked clay pots, half-buried tools that might have belonged to fishermen or campers long gone. Nothing alive, nothing human. And yet, the island itself felt alive. Felt human, even. My shadow stretched too long on the sand, moving slightly before I did. Rocks shifted overnight. Birds I swore perched in one tree were suddenly 20 feet away, facing me with beady, curious eyes. I started rationing attempts to leave, but compulsion overtook logic. Each time, I built rafts, tied knots, burned fires, hoped someone would see them. Each time, the island intervened in ways too precise to be coincidence. Once, I placed a note in a bottle, cast it into the waves. It returned the next morning, the paper wet, the message rewritten in a strange, jagged script I didn't recognize. I wasn't losing my mind, or at least I don't think I was. I began noticing patterns. Small, insidious details. Sand moved to cover my tracks, driftwood shifted overnight, vines blocked paths I'd cleared, and cliffs seemed steeper when I approached them. If the island wasn't alive, it was playing tricks as if it were. Every attempt to leave ended in the same subtle, perfect defeat. By the third week, despair had crept in. My days blurred together. Sleep came in short, shallow bursts, punctuated by nightmares of tidal waves and impossible cliffs. I dreamt of hands made of sand pulling me backward, of trees that bent toward me like they wanted to swallow me whole. I accepted that I might never leave. The final attempt came one evening. I had scavenged enough driftwood for a raft that looked seaworthy. I lashed the boards together with every scrap of rope I could find. I checked the tide, waited for calm water, and pushed it into the waves. I paddled with everything I had, heart hammering, lungs burning. I didn't glance back. When I did, the raft had drifted back to shore. Again. Only this time, I noticed something new. The horizon itself seemed wrong, farther away than it had ever been. The beach stretched endlessly, and the trees, well, they weren't quite trees anymore. They leaned in toward me as if the island were breathing, expanding around me, enclosing me. A subtle hum rose from the ground beneath my feet, faint at first, then insistent. It vibrated through my bones. I sank to my knees, gasping. The island doesn't just trap you, it absorbs you. Every failed attempt is a lesson. Every obstacle is deliberate. You are not merely stranded, you are being integrated. The wind shifted, carrying a sound I had begun to dread. Footsteps where there were none. Soft scraping noises in the brush, and a whisper I could swear was my own voice, just behind me, urging me to turn back. I crawled to the shore, tore myself from the raft, and ran. The island was patient, like a caring parent waiting for their child to return from war. My footprints vanished as I sprinted. I stumbled over rocks that weren't there before. Branches reached for me. I collapsed at the base of a cliff, chest heaving, and for a moment the island was silent. I looked out at the endless horizon, the distant sun slipping below it, and realized the island doesn't want me to leave. Not to punish me, I reflected. The island had always blessed me with firewood, drinking water, and plenty of fruit to eat. It's Eden on Earth. It simply wants the world beyond its shores to never step foot on it. But yet, here I am. And maybe, it has always been so lonely. It wanted company. But more importantly, it wanted a friend. I am the friend it chose. But it will never let me go.